Okay, so today I'm going to talk about the 3 books that I learned investing from. But let me first start by saying this. Investing in stocks isn't easy. People devote their entire lives to learning how to invest and still just scratch the surface. Like I said in my last video, when I first started investing, I got a financial advisor and tried to learn about investing just from him. But just like everything else in life, one person can't teach you everything. It's up to you to go out there and learn the knowledge on your own. Now, before I talk about the 3 books that I learned most of my investment philosophy from, I want to talk about the expensive courses and seminars that you see online. Now look, I've never taken any of these courses myself, so take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm also not going to list any of these courses by name because they'll probably sue me. But I will say this, you should never spend thousands of dollars for a system that teaches you stock investing. Anyone claiming to be a millionaire from using this system and then goes and tries to sell this system at a high cost to beginners is probably a millionaire from selling the system, not from actually using the system themselves. I've never spent more than $20 on any of the dozens of books that I've read, and these books were written by some of the greatest financial minds of all time. If you think there's a shortcut to reading books by paying $2,000 to someone you've never heard of because they have videos of them next to Ferraris, then you're going to get exactly what you deserve. Okay, so let's start with the books that I learned from along with the order that I suggest you read them. Now, all these books are cheap and available on Amazon.com and Audible.com. Personally, I use audiobooks from Audible.com. I simply don't have time to sit down and read a traditional book anymore. So an audiobook for me, it allows me to just do my thing a lot faster. Also, they have a playback of 2 to 3 times the original speed. So for me, I can get through these audiobooks pretty quickly. Either way, the content in print and audio is exactly the same. So it's up to you how you want to digest it. Also, keep in mind that I'm constantly reading books on money and investing. There's been a lot of great ones that I've read, but these 3 right here, I still refer to them on a daily basis. So here we go. The first book that I read was The Snowball by Warren Buffett, which is his autobiography. Before I started investing, I looked up who was the Michael Jordan of stocks, and the answer was unanimously Warren Buffett. Buffett made more money in the stock market than any human being ever in the history of the stock market. The main thing that I gained from this book is that if he could do it, I could do it. And here's what I mean by that. Here was a guy who didn't start off rich, who spent his life investing in public stocks and became the richest man in the world at one point. He didn't rob and steal to make his wealth. He did it by buying great companies like Coca-Cola and never selling his shares. Look, I know I'll never have the natural athletic ability of a Jordan, but after reading Warren Buffett's book, I felt that I could generally follow his steps and do pretty well, which I have, which brings me to the second book. Now, while reading The Snowball, I learned about the guy that Warren Buffett learned from, which is Benjamin Graham. Graham wrote a book called The Intelligent Investor, which was the first book to really break down the stock market into a set of rules. This was the book that Warren Buffett learned from, and he actually applied the principles in this book to all his future investing. Buffett called this the greatest book on stock investing ever written. And I figured if this was the book that the greatest investor of all time learned from, I should probably read it. Buffett was so blown away by Benjamin Graham's book that he enrolled in Columbia just so he could study under Graham. And Warren even went to work at Benjamin Graham's investment company. The concept from this book, like Mr. Market and dollar cost averaging, is something that I use every single day in all of my investments. These were all concepts that I never learned in school, but are absolutely priceless when it comes to understanding how the stock market works. Now keep in mind, The Intelligent Investor is not an easy read. You should only read it if you've been investing for a little while. Otherwise, it just won't make a lot of sense to you. But after some investment experience, you'll see that this really is just an absolutely incredible book. So let's get into the third book, and that is Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits by Philip Fisher. Now, when you ask Warren Buffett about what his investing style is, he'll say it's 85% Graham, 15% Fisher. So I went out and read this book based on Buffett's cosign. Now, the most important thing that I learned from this book is the importance of holding stocks and when to sell them. Philip Fisher had an incredible career as a stock investor. And then his son, Kenneth Fisher, went on to become one of the biggest money managers of all time. He's now worth like $4 billion. But again, just like The Intelligent Investor, Common Stocks and Uncommon Profits, it's not an introductory book, but the info in it is amazing. So there you have it, the 3 books that I learned from, written by 3 of the greatest investors of all time, which cost around $60 combined. Or you could spend $2,000 for a course from a guy taking Instagram pics on a yacht. Look, it's your money, spend it how you like.